truly a Quasi Speaks. It's been a good while since I've uploaded a video. I have been extremely busy during this COVID 19 pandemic. Some of you may know or may not know, I am considered an essential employee, so I've been going to work every day. I'm fortunate that I have a job that I can go to. Certainly, my heart does go out to the many who are not yet able to return to work. Really do hope that things turn around for everyone's good. So it's been a while since I've done a video upload, obviously, and I've been sharing my spiritual journey leading up to the point where I decided that I was going to walk away from religion and from the Christian faith. And so some are still trying to wrap their minds around exactly where am I spiritually? Uh, what do I believe? Do I follow any particular religion? So just to clear up some things, I do not subscribe to any traditional religious order. Um, and so when I do these videos, it is not to persuade any to not believe what they choose to believe. So I want to get right into this video. This video here is the outcome of a question that I posted on my timeline back Monday the 18th. I posted a probing direct question as a small research, and the intent of that was to gather some data and then respond back with that data. So the question that I posted on my page was this: why do blacks need Jesus? And that was it. That was the only thing that I asked. It was one of those types of questions that one would have to think before giving a response. So what I want to do is I want to cover the outcome of me posting that question, and it was quite interesting indeed. So it covered a period of just 3 days. So it's not an all intensive research that I did. It was a very, very small research project that just ran the course of 3 days. I didn't want to drag it out. Whoever responded within that time frame, and so I'm gathering numbers from those 3 days of those that have responded. And so by no means do I imply or suggest that the numbers that I'm going to share with you are absolutes. They are specific to this small research, but they do shed some light on things that I suspected. So let's get into it. So the question again was, why do blacks need Jesus? Now I asked that question because I wanted to see if any would give a direct answer to what I consider a directed question that has Christian undertones. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about my observations, but let me give you some numbers first. And this is what kind of was exciting to me. First of all, I have a total of 123 Facebook followers. Now, these are persons that are not necessarily connected to me as friends on Facebook, but they follow me. And of that 123, rarely do they respond to anything that I post. And that's fine. I'm not looking to see if people are actually saying something. If they do, yeah, sure, I'm going to respond back. But that's not the purpose of the research. The purpose of the research question was to probe the minds of those persons that are either following me or that are my Facebook friends. So, of my Facebook friends, I have a total of 769 Facebook friends currently. Now, I don't know, after this video uploads and folks see it, I may not have 769 friends. But that's fine. That's fine. Really, it is. So, in total, as it relates to Facebook contacts, for me, I have a total of 892 persons that follow me one way or the other, that are connected to me as friends on Facebook. And so, of that 892, eight of my Facebook friends actually responded to the question, why do blacks need Jesus? Now, you probably at this point want to know what are those responses that prompted this video. And I'm going to get to that in just a moment. But I want to give you some percentages here. So, of the 8 respondents, of those who actually answered the question, 1 out of 8 actually answered the question. What that equates to is 13% of the respondents actually answered the question, why do blacks need Jesus? And I'll get to what their response was in a moment. 7 out of the 8 respondents, or 87% of the respondents, avoided answering the question directly. Now, I found that interesting, but it didn't surprise me. It was interesting, but it didn't surprise me that 7 out of 8 respondents avoided answering the question directly. So when I look at my percentage of followers, they make up 14% of my total Facebook contacts. Just 14%. And 0% of my followers responded to the question, why do blacks need Jesus, within this 3-day time frame. Now, my Facebook friends make up 86% of my total Facebook contacts. And of that 86%, less than 1% of my Facebook friends actually responded to the question. Not necessarily giving a direct answer to the question, but did respond to the question. So that's less than 1% of all of my Facebook contacts actually responded to the question. So let's take a look at each respondent. Now, I'm not going to call out no names. I'm not putting folks on blast, because I reiterated through the responses that this was a research where I'm simply collecting data. That's it. Just gathering some data. So one respondent number 1, I'll call that respondent number 1. This was their response to the question, why do blacks need Jesus? Here's their response. Can anyone go before a judge without a lawyer? No, because that lawyer is interceding on their behalf. So, this is why we need a Savior, to intercede to God on our behalf. Everybody wants God, but there are some who don't want Jesus. Now, that was their response to the question, why do blacks need Jesus? And it kind of sort of answered the question in a roundabout way. Not directly, but kind of sort of. And I didn't bash them for their answer. I didn't bash any for their response. Because again, the intent of the question was to probe their minds and see who would give a direct answer to a directed question that has these Christian undertones. Now, respondent number two, this was interesting. Respondent number two responded with the so-called black people needs Yaswashi. Let me say that again. This is respondent number two. The so-called black people needs Yaswashi. That was the answer. That was the response to the question, why do blacks need Jesus? And certainly, for each one, I did respond back to them and asked, and I liked their response. I clicked the like and let them know I see your response and I've received your response. And then I asked, elaborate more, please. Now, respondent number three to the same question, why do blacks need Jesus? Respondent number three says, because it comes between them and God. Now, I had to read that a few times because I did not want to misinterpret what this respondent responded with. Again, they said, because it becomes between them and God. So I'm not going to speculate or assume what they meant with that response, but that is their response. And so likewise, I responded back after clicking like. I responded back, elaborate more, please. Didn't elaborate, and that's fine. Now, respondent number four to that same question, and I got it, it tickled me. Honestly, it did, and it's tickling me now. But respondent number four responded back with, why does anyone need Jesus? Well, that wasn't the question. Not for this research. The question was, why do blacks need Jesus? And so respondent number four chose to respond with, why does anyone need Jesus? Now, when I hit like and asked them to elaborate further, they did. I just didn't want to write every single thing that they wrote down, but they did respond back and they did add some clarity why they responded the way that they did. Their train of thought was more along the lines of everybody needs Jesus, right? And not just blacks, or rather they were posing the question, why does anybody need Jesus, is the way they posed the question. At least that's the way I read it. And I could be wrong, but again, I'm just gathering data. So I really wasn't looking to engage in discussion. I just wanted to extrapolate some numbers and aggregate those numbers and see what the numbers were saying. So now respondent number five to the question, why do blacks need Jesus? Respondent number five. Oh, this tickles me too. They said, our selfie. Okay. That's their response. I respect everyone's response. I do. I respect everyone's response. Research is fun. It is. It's exciting and it is fun. I enjoy doing research. Okay, so that was their response, our selfie. And so I asked them to elaborate a little more, and so needless to say, they didn't. All right, so respondent number six to the same question, why do blacks need Jesus? Respondent number six said, I don't need him for nothing. I get it. I get it. I didn't even entertain that one. I just hit like and I kept it moving. But I get it. I understand 100% of what this respondent is emphatically saying. And I get it. It just is not, it didn't answer the question. But it did make it very clear that the individual finds no need for Jesus. And I get it. That's cool. I get it. Now, respondent number seven Respondent number 7 to the same question. Why do blacks need Jesus? Responded with this. God became man to instruct man on how to become God. What most people think is Jesus is not Jesus at all. It is the illusion that makes you question what can only be experienced spiritually. God is spirit, and so are we. But we are God asleep. So I did hit like. Didn't quite answer the question. Why do blacks need Jesus? But I paused on that one. I honestly did. I paused for a moment. I scratched my head. And I said, okay. So I asked that respondent also to elaborate a little further. And I'm not going to get into where that discussion thread went. But that was their response, and I respect their response. Didn't quite answer the question, but that was their response. And then respondent number 8. Respondent number 8 to the same question, why do blacks need Jesus? Respondent number 8 says, we need to find the creator of our ancestors. J is only 600 years old, so that can't be the name we should call. Good question. Okay, so yeah, I hit like. I did. I hit like on that one too. And I asked for that respondent to also elaborate a little more. Now I understood what this respondent was responding with. Didn't answer the question though, but I understood what they were responding with. That's another discussion. Okay, but it did not answer the question. The question was, why do blacks need Jesus? So each respondent, with the exception of one, was probed further to elaborate on the responses, their initial responses that they gave. And that probing, it gave way to one respondent asking me if I believe in the Most High. Well, that's not what the question was. There was no question of whether or not Akwazi Speaks believes in the Most High. The question was, why do blacks need Jesus? That was the question. But they directed it back to me and asked me if I believe in the Most High. Two other respondents gave no response to my probe for an elaboration on what they initially responded with. They just never responded back. Now maybe they will after I've uploaded this video. I might do an update. I don't know, because like I said, it was just going to be a very condensed, quick research for some quick data to get some numbers. Didn't want to drag it out. So yet another, after being probed further, argued we all need Jesus. Again, doesn't answer the question. The question is very directed. Why do blacks need Jesus? But they come back with we all need Jesus. The single most intriguing response given by yet one other respondent argued there was nothing to elaborate on, suggesting now remember the question is why do blacks need Jesus, but now this respondent, after me asking them to elaborate, eventually got to this place where they suggested, and I'm reading my notes because I don't want to get this wrong. I don't want to misquote, I don't want to misstate. But this is what they said to me in response to me asking them to elaborate further. They suggested that I must do the work to get my questions answered. This particular respondent, despite my reiteration that I was conducting a research to collect data, went as far as to instruct me. Now, here's what they instructed me to do. They said that I should retreat to a quiet room and sincerely, humbly speak out loud as you are speaking directly to a friend. Now, get this, and say, Jesus, if you are real and if you hear me, reveal yourself to me in some way that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you exist and you know me and care for me. Let the truth of your existence be confirmed for me once and for all. I'm trying to hold it together. I am. Doesn't even answer the question by no stretch of the imagination. The question was, why do blacks need Jesus? The question was not, why do Akwazi Speaks need Jesus? The question was, why do blacks need Jesus? Right? So I didn't bother indulging in that discussion because I just wanted to get the data, and we would have went down a rabbit hole for real. So the next respondent, this would be the eighth respondent, though they never really answered the question, they did give a response that I feel has some merit concerning the inception of the letter J into the early alphabet system. Now that's a whole nother discussion. I don't know, I might actually do some form of a research on that one. I don't know how many will respond to that either, but I might do that one. Because in 1524, Gian Giorgio Trissino, who was an Italian Renaissance grammarian, is referred to historically as the father of the letter J. So that might be a good one for discussion more so than research. So I'm pondering on that one. So in my conclusion, I have some questions that I sought to answer. My first question, after pulling this together, after going through everybody's responses, my first question is, what do the numbers tell me? What do the numbers tell me? So out of 892 Facebook friends and Facebook followers, at least 8 persons will respond to a directed question. Percentage-wise, we're talking about 9% of all of my Facebook contacts, be they friends or followers. That's roughly 2 out of every 223 persons that's in my contact list might respond to a directed question. That's what the numbers mean to me. Question number 2. What percent of respondents might answer a directed question? Now, by answer, I mean actually answer the question. The first one was just simply responding with what's on their mind. Number 2 is them actually answering the question. And out of that, I've gathered that 1 out of 8 is more likely to actually answer the question that is asked. That's roughly about 13% of respondents to a directed question are likely to actually answer that question. Question number 3, what percentage of respondents might avoid answering a directed question? And so my answer there, what I've discovered from the numbers, is that 7 out of 8 is more likely to avoid giving a precise answer to a directed question. We're talking about 87% of respondents that are my Facebook contacts, friends or followers, that will actually avoid answering the question directly. Question number 4. What percent of my followers might respond to a directed question? Now we're talking about just my followers. What percent of my followers might respond to a direct question? 0. In this research, my followers make up 14% of my combined Facebook contacts. And of 123 followers, 0 responded. Question number 5, last question. What part of my Facebook friends are likely to respond to a directed question? Now, we're talking about some 796 Facebook friends. Less than 1% are likely to respond to a directed question. In this research, my Facebook friends make up 86% of all my Facebook contacts. And of that, less than 1% are likely to respond to a directed question. Not necessarily give the direct answer, but at least respond. So, what were my initial observation in this little research? Right away, of those who responded to the question that was asked, all required further probing from me that would prompt them to reread the question that was asked. It also became very clear that 6 of the 8 respondents assumed in some way that I was referring to my own state of or lack of spirituality. One other observation that I made that I paid close attention to was how one respondent in particular became almost immediately confrontational in their responses. Went on the defense real fast. And so, what did I get out of all this? This small research that I did for that 3-day period revealed that of my Facebook contacts, friends and followers combined, the greater of contacts are more likely to not engage in discussions on topics relating to God, spirituality, religion, Jesus, the church, or the Bible. That's what I've gathered. And additionally, of the few who are likely to engage in discussion on these same topics, at least, at the minimum, 7 of 8 persons will give a presumptuous response to a directed question. Well, there you have it. Those are the numbers. I actually enjoyed doing that little 3-day research. It was actually fun, and I wanted to share that with you all. It's a breakaway from when I started doing my videos on my spiritual journey, but I thought that this was interesting to do, and it gave me some insight to who my audience is. Now, I understand that there are some who see my postings but just choose not to respond, do not want to get in those discussions, and that's fine. That's fine. So I just wanted to share that with you all. I thank you all for allowing me to share this little research with you. I hope that you got something out of it. If so, would you do me the kind favor and would you hit the like button? And if you haven't already, would you subscribe to my channel? I do intend to put more videos up as time allows me to do so. So this has been an Akwazi Speaks video. It's been my pleasure. And I'm hoping that you all are staying safe, that you're practicing social distancing, and that you are looking out for each other and taking care of each other as best as you can. Until we meet again, blessings and peace to you. Have a great day or a great night.